Hi, I'm Art Caplan. I'm at the Division of Medical Ethics at NYU's Grossman School of Medicine. Well, for a long time, I have been complaining bitterly about disinformation, lousy information, business-driven information appearing all over social media. If you haven't taken the time to go see what many of your patients are being told by people like Gwyneth Paltrow, who now has a company, I believe that's worth $500 million, Goop, which I think is exactly named appropriately, Goop, selling everything from bananas, sex serums to all kinds of cuckoo elixirs and remedies. She gets praised all the time for her success and her beauty by the media, by social media. Very few people ever step up and say, this woman is a public health menace. She's selling people stuff for problems and diseases that is quackery, just not legitimate sort of products, not following medical guidelines or what expert physicians would represent. So at one end of the spectrum these days, we have a sea of disinformation from many sources, not just Goop, but lots of companies, lots of people promoting everything from immune boosters to vitamin treatments for COVID, you name it, on and on and on and on it goes. And we're all familiar with decisions that keep coming out of public health authorities where somebody fiddles with the numbers. You get to the point where they don't want to see COVID vaccines used on young people because they say the risk of COVID vaccine for young people is too high, whereas all the data shows from the experts and the studies that it's much worse to get COVID in terms of heart problems than it is to take a COVID vaccine. And we even have courts stepping in and saying things like, here's how you should use drugs like mifepristone, the abortion agent. You can administer it to this person, or you have to use it in this way, or can only be used up to this date. They're sounding like OBGYN experts, which they're not. So I think it is really time for a much more systematic response on the part of medicine, on the part of science, to say you're out of your lane, judges, politicians, celebrities. But right now, the public is not being served because they're not hearing the evidence. They're hearing all sorts of messages from people who have power, but ideology or celebrity is a terrible basis to form a public health policy or to talk to your patient in the office. Two things I think might help. One, let's get our medical associations, state, local, national, to form projects in which they start to speak up and protest when somebody with a non-medical background, a non-healthcare background, no experience around medicine begins to practice. It isn't appropriate, it's wrong, and it should be called out when people who aren't doctors or nurses or don't work in healthcare in some way start to do that. The other important thing is to start to think personally, can I give a talk about my area of expertise, about some medical or scientific subject locally? There is a tendency to say these battles are fought on the internet or in the national media and the mainstream media. I don't think that's right. I think the battles about credibility, evidence, and trust in medicine and science are fought locally, in a church, in a synagogue, in a mosque, at a high school assembly, at a Kiwanis club, at Rotary, at the 4-H club, civic organizations, senior citizens, book groups. You don't have to spend more time than maybe once a year trying to deliver some talk or presentation about your area, what you do, or something that's in the news that you feel comfortable discussing. I think if we do that systematically, if we get ourselves to commit to do it, if we get our students to understand that they should do it, then I think we can start to make a shift from the ground up in this snowstorm of misinformation, disinformation, and people, if you will, going way outside their appropriate areas of expertise to try and tell people what to do to stay healthy or to treat diseases. It's time really we stepped up to the plate, and I hope you will join me in calling for and trying to do so. I'm Art Caplan. I'm at the Division of Medical Ethics at NYU Grossman School of Medicine. Thanks for watching.